What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Face the Pain podcast. Alex and Alan coming at you with 3 weeks of UFC content. We're going to be going over Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier, Whitaker versus DeRitter, and the upcoming UFC fight night at the Apex. We're so excited to be talking with you guys about it, and I'm excited to be talking with you about it.
Me too, buddy. You ready to get into it?
UFC 318. The first UFC that I can remember that made me cry.
It was pretty tough, dude. It was a great fight. I mean, I really enjoyed it, and I thought that it was going to be over for a second right there at the beginning when Holloway rocked Poirier and kind of swarmed him. I felt like he gave him a little bit of space because he didn't want to tire himself out too much. I think he probably had the opportunity to finish him right there, but luckily for Poirier, he backed off. And once he backed off, I felt like closer to the end of the fight, Poirier started getting it back together and really, he looked really good. It was a great fight. It was a lot closer than maybe what it felt.
At the end of that fight, both of those dudes, obviously, they took a lot of damage. They dealt a lot of damage. But both those dudes are so tough. I think both of them could have fought 5 more rounds right there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Poirier just doesn't go away, and Max Holloway has a gas tank that lasts forever, you know?
Yeah. I feel like he's really good at, because he doesn't throw full punches super often, Max, he's very good at pacing throughout a whole fight. And I feel like that's what I like to watch because it's not conventional. It's really some magical wizardry he is just running with. And he has made, I mean, the BMF champion, the featherweight champion, maybe the greatest featherweight champion of all time, to be determined. But obviously it depends on what Poirier does with all that.
Right.
Golly, he is terrifying.
He's looking good. He's looking really good.
He's one of those people that, like, he came up from 45, and yeah, he looked shorter, but he was so obviously the more powerful guy. It was terrifying to look at.
Mm-hmm.
But Max Holloway versus Dustin, Dustin's last fight, on the ride home, I listened to James Brown because it was just so, it was such an impactful night just overall. And I just couldn't get it out of my head that that was the last time I'm going to see him fight because I've been watching him since he was a 145er who was just getting into the UFC.
Yep.
And then Max, obviously my favorite fighter. That's the most I've ever cared about two fighters who were fighting each other ever. And it was just this weird head clash of emotions that it was really fun to watch because I do love them and having the way the fight played out where they both knocked each other down, could have finished fights in certain places. I'm so glad it did end the way it did because it doesn't mess up Max's career. That fight doesn't taint Dustin's career in any way. That was the best way you can go out on a loss ever. Anything else, it would have been bad. I'm glad it went the way it did. They are both absolute warriors, and I'm glad Max is the BMF champion, and I'm really sad I'm not seeing Dustin again.
I agree wholeheartedly, man. Like you said, I didn't want to see either of them lose, really. When they announced that that's who were going to fight for Dustin's last fight, I was already sick to my stomach. I hated it, man, because I love Max Holloway. I don't want to see Max Holloway lose necessarily, especially not to somebody else that I don't want to see lose, you know? And so when they fought, it was just like, man, somebody has got to go home unhappy. And it was like after their last fight and it went so well and it was so cool for the interim championship and Dustin was so nice and I felt like Max Holloway handled it so great. Dustin was even cool to his son and everything and their families were nice. I really appreciated that and I wanted that to kind of be the end of that, if you will. Obviously it wasn't, so we had to get the result that we got. But hey, dude, Dustin did not look bad. Like, when I say that, it sounds like I'm bringing him his flowers to his funeral or something. He looked like he had 5 more fights. You know, he didn't look like he's being forced out of the UFC. He looked like he's choosing to leave, which I think is a good thing to do when you know that you're on top. You know that you've made yourself independently wealthy. You're going to be able to take care of your family. And now he's actually going to be able to enjoy some of that and hopefully have a fair amount of his health as well. So.
Yeah. And something you mentioned, kind of the post-fight, they have so much respect for each other. One thing that Dustin said to Max's son that got me so bad, he grabs Max's son's hand, shakes it, and he says, "Congratulations on your dad." And it's not like, congratulations, he's the champ. He's saying, because he knows Max, he is saying, congratulations, your dad is a great man. Congratulations on your father. And that was like, oh my gosh, like just, it was an insane moment to be able to witness, because there's very few of those in life ever like that, on that stage, that magnitude, where they are both great human beings. Like Dustin, with all, he's given more to the state of Louisiana than any one individual probably ever.
Right.
And Max, same thing in Hawaii.
Mhm.
All of his native friends and family there, giving back to them constantly, and the kids surrounding the area. And Max joined up with him, selling his gloves after the fight for Dustin's foundation. That is just two champions. That's the only word I could think of. They are absolute champions on, off the mat, inside, outside the cage. Just absolute beasts. But I'm super thankful I got to watch Dustin's last fight. I would love for Max to make a run, get another fight with Volk, but he's not going back to 45. He's going to stay at 55. And we'll see how it goes. I think Poirier is better on the feet than him. But anybody on any given day, and I'm not doubting Max Holloway ever in my life.
Yeah, and to that, who does he fight next? Really is the question, because the main thing that I'm hearing that's really popular right now is Justin Gaethje wants a title fight and nothing else. They've already fought, so we have that to go from. Now, that wasn't for the championship belt for the weight, that was the BMF championship, so maybe a little different. But overall, we've seen them fight. If Gaethje's holding out for a championship fight, there's already people in line. Who do you think that Max Holloway should fight next?
So I don't like this answer, but I think if he calls out Arman Sarukian, he gets it undoubtedly, because no one wants to fight him. He is the number one contender. And if you go out there and just smash him, which is possible, Max is that caliber of fighter. But man, if Arman gets him on the ground, it could be so bad, so quick. And I would literally walk away. If there's a takedown with more than 2.5 minutes left in the round, I will walk away from the TV. I will not watch it. But he could knock him out on the feet or just outpace him to death. Because Arman hasn't been in a fight that I can remember where his gas tank has been tested after he's been jabbed 1,000 times, like Max Holloway will do. And it's not like, oh, he might slip all these jabs. No one slips Max Holloway's jab 1,000 times. Everybody pays the tax. Everybody has to power through. And back to that Dustin thing real quick. He ate a lot of shots, and his gas tank held up. Like you said, he's not being forced out of the UFC. He could keep going. But if he called out Arman Sarukian, jabbed him, pointed him, he could win that fight. If he didn't do that, I think they'll have to do a Justin Gaethje rematch, even though they just did it for the BMF.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm game to watch that fight. I like them both. I've got Max again in that fight, but man, it would be awesome to watch again.
Yeah, it's funny that you said that, because as I was forming that question, that was the only person I was like, I guess he has to fight Sarukian. That's the best available option for the level that they're all at. I feel like it makes the most sense. As far as the Gaethje rematch, I mean, of course, we would love to see them fight, but kind of again to the same thing. Like, I didn't want to see them fight the first time, same way I didn't want to see Dustin and Max fight. It's like I really do like these guys, and they're all in the same weight class area, even if they're not in the same. They're 10 pounds different either way, and so they're just continually right there at the top. Nobody else is able to really. I feel like Armin is really the only person in the past few years that's even new at the top, because of the top 3, 4, 5 people have been the same people, and they've been dominant,
Yeah.
and so. We'll see what happens, but I think Sarukian's probably the best play.
The only person that I can even remember falling out of the top 10 from that group with the Connors, the Dustins, Islam Makhachev's, which he moved up, so it doesn't really count. The only person that I can even think of off the top of my head that's fallen out is Tony Ferguson.
Yeah.
That's the only one.
Everybody else still pretty much in there holding it down.
Tony was what Armin is now. He's the boogeyman. No one wants to fight him, and I get it. He has mauled some people. It's like when Khabib was coming through or when Islam was coming through. You just watch them tear these people to shreds, and you're just going, oh my gosh, who is he fighting next? I don't even know if I want to watch this. It might be one of my favorite fighters.
Right.
And there was a fear with it. I mean, when Tony was coming up, and then now it's Arman, and he's kind of stuck in that weird spot where the UFC keeps trying to give him fights for these people, and no one's taking them. So, I mean, it's really a weird spot that he's stuck in, but it is really kind of cool to see what happened 5 years ago is happening again right now, and history just literally being a circle. But
Absolutely. All right, let's move on. So the card did have some other fights that were pretty good. I felt like, there's a few that we may want to talk about. Paulo Costa did a great job. Looked like Paulo Costa of old, was in there just looking like a Hulk, man. I mean, took everything that the other guy had to throw at him, and it just really didn't have as much effect, I think, as everybody might have hoped. And Paulo was just, I mean, he was eating them and he was throwing back the hard power punches, 100% power every time. Some people calculate it, they'll throw 50, 60%, 70%. I feel like when Paulo Costa, he's either hitting you at 100% or 200%. And that's really the two options,
yes,
And so I was proud of him. He did pretty good. Another fight I think that we probably want to talk about is Kevin Holland and Daniel Rodriguez. That was to me the best fight of the night. It was the one that was the highest contest, the highest level contest, the most action, pushed the pace. I mean, Daniel Rodriguez can't say enough good things about how well he looked. Because when you're able to do that to somebody like Kevin Holland, it means something. And Kevin Holland, I feel like you can't discredit him for his performance. It was a wonderful fight between both of them, just Rodriguez having to come out on the other end. Like Holland didn't have a moment. I can't say, well, he didn't do this well or he didn't do that. It was pretty even fight. And overall, I just felt like Rodriguez kind of gutted it out.
yeah, they both, at one point during the fight, they were both slack jawed, barely able to move. We've both had those moments in sport where it's just like your body is not doing what you're telling it to do anymore. You are just exhausted. And man, you cannot say they didn't leave it all out there. They absolutely threw everything they had in every position for as long as they physically could, and neither one could put the other one away for 3 rounds of a insane fight to watch. I would have loved to see one more round. I don't think it would have went 2 more rounds. One of them would have broke, and I'll be honest, I think it might have been Kevin Holland going into that what would have been last fourth round. Man, I don't know if Rodriguez is like a professional boxer in a like before he was in
Yeah,
the UFC or not, but man, he was sharp.
crispy.
Yes, and it was just so clean for the whole fight. And now Kevin got some funky takedowns, but that's kind of who he is. It'll do that. He is kung fu master, dude.
That's right.
And from the bottom, throwing those weird elbow strikes and long back fists and things like that just you don't see thrown by anyone but him. Super dangerous. It was really a good showing of skill against someone who I just think is extremely durable. Rodriguez, good luck knocking him out, dude. I think he has concrete lined his skull because Kevin was hitting him. Now, don't get me wrong. I think Rodriguez won that fight. He hit him more and did more damage, had more ring control, takedown control, all of it. But man, there were a couple shots where Kevin just popped him, and I
They
was like,
both they both had each other in trouble a
yes.
couple times.
I was like, he didn't go to sleep right there. Why? That's insane. But it was a really good fight, start to finish. I would love to see it again. I know they're not going to do it, but I would love to see that fight again. Just see how they kind of try to tactician each other differently.
Yeah, when I saw the fight, I thought kind of similar to the Dustin and Max fight. I was like, man, they both did so well. Like they both went out, they both executed their game plan to their best of their abilities. I would say both of them ran about 60% of their game plan, and the other 40% was just trying to compensate for the other person having good success too. So it was a really good fight, man. I enjoyed it, and I look forward to watching them fight again.
Me too.
But other than that, you want to move on?
Yep. Let's
Awesome.
go. Robert Whitaker versus Reinier de Ritter. Very good fight. I loved watching it. But there was one moment in the fight. I'm bringing it up way early, I know. Robert is standing on top of him. Ritter is on his back. His feet are on Robert's hips. Robert is punching him in the face, bouncing his head off the canvas. Ritter grabs his gloves. Not just position change. Time to recover. I mean, he was rocked. He was in La La Land. He bounced his head off the canvas. You could see in his eyes he's not fully there anymore. And now I'm not saying like he was knocked out. I'm saying like the same thing when you catch someone clean on the feet and you get that wobble.
He was in trouble.
At least in trouble. And there was this stop grabbing the gloves. That's all it was. And I was so disappointed in that. That's a point. Like finishing position, you're losing. You're actively on your way out.
Multiple times, too. Held the glove multiple times.
And grabbing gloves. I lost a little respect. I'll be super honest. That's just not sportsman. That is. Now, it's cage fighting in a way, for sure. But it is not. If this is a sport, that's not within the rules of the sport. How does it get combated? It's a huge red flag to me. Congratulations to DeRitter on beating Robert Whitaker, because he did. That weird little kick into an elbow or jab or whatever, that entry.
It's a knee.
Yeah.
The side knee that he throws. He throws a knee, but it's not really straight up and down. It's kind of at a 45.
Yeah, his foot's kicked out. It was weird. And that was such a good entry for someone like Robert Whitaker, who he kind of pushes the pace. He jumps in, jabs you a couple times, hops out. And he'll throw like 3 punches max in that combo. And as soon as he backed up, he would close that distance, throw that knee, and all of a sudden, that distance got close to where we're against the cage. And he'd take him down. He had a ton of control time, tons of strikes landed from there. It wasn't at great pace, but keeping someone down and hitting them pretty consistently counts hugely to the judges. Huge. But Robert looked phenomenal, start to finish. He kind of looked gassed in the 5th, which I've never seen Robert Whitaker look fully gassed. And I mean, him versus Yoel Romero was a war. Neither one was gassed. Yoel might have been. But Robert could have went 3 more rounds. And it was just this weird war thing. But this didn't really have that effect. And I do think if there was somehow, some way more rounds to this, it would have went the same way. And it just is sad that it ended the way it did, because I think Robert dumped a lot of energy when he got his gloves grabbed.
Yeah, I agree. I think that DeRitter definitely should have been penalized because he did it multiple times. If you do it one time and it's an accident and it's quick, I feel one way. If you do it with both hands multiple times, then I know what you're doing. And look, I'm not saying that it makes you a horrible person. I'm saying that according to the rules, you should be penalized. And so I think that he should have been penalized for sure. It really was Whitaker's only chance in the fight to really finish it, because he did expend all of his energy right there. I think it was in the second, or I think it was third, might have been second or third.
Yeah.
But he dumped all of his energy and he was unable to recover. And don't get me wrong, should he, cardio, blah, 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 this or that. Look, he tried to kill that guy, and once he couldn't, he was pretty exhausted, and I can't fault him for it. It was disappointing to see how exhausted he was in the 5th, because I thought, in my mind, of course, when you look at the total strikes, it's pretty apparent DeRitter won. But to me, when you're looking at significant strikes, the damage dealt, I felt like it was close. You could have given Robert a few of the rounds. And so I felt like going into the 5th, maybe he was able to put on a really good showing. He might be able to steal a round, get a little bit closer. And if he would have actually, in that round that he was supposed to finish DeRitter, if he would have gotten the point penalized, then it would have been a lot closer on the judges' scorecards too. So, it is what it is. It was a great fight, and I enjoyed it. I hated to see Robert lose, but it looks like DeRitter is headed straight for the top. I mean, that knee that he has is a complete key to his game, and it's something that looks like is a little bit underdeveloped in the UFC. I think he's found his little niche and is dominating it.
All right, Shara Bullet versus Barrialt. This was a really good fight by one guy who's an actual clinical tactician of a striker. and then some dude who just wanted it more.
Dude, I'm telling you.
And for him to be, he has one eye. That's A, kind of terrifying. B, like, for him to want to do mixed martial arts while having one eye is another thing on top of that. Health scare, there's a little, like, a lot of things that could go so wrong. And he's just like, this is what I do. And we're willing to go to the UAE just to do that.
It's the only place that'll sanction him, really.
Yeah. They're like, we're not doing this in the United States at all. And I mean, if you want to go off damage, I know that's like the number one scoring criteria. I think Bullet lost. Because, I mean, if you just look at how he looked in the fifth round, that alone tells you everything you need to know about the previous four. And going into the fifth, gushing, end of the fifth, gushing. But man, he was throwing everything he had and absolutely went insane. It was really like the triumph of the human spirit is the best way to say it. He just wanted it more and he went out there and got it. It was one of those kind of things where you're just like, there was not anyone that could stop him. There was just no matter how good you were, it didn't matter. He was just going to keep coming. And even if you try to knock him out, he doesn't care. He's got a chin made of steel and he will march you down and we're about to fight.
Yeah, it was really good, man. It was definitely fight of the night for a proper reason too. It was a phenomenal fight, and like you said, I felt like Shara Bullet got in a lot of trouble early, and he was like, "Oh my God, this Barrialt dude is not playing around, man." And he realized. I felt like Barrialt kind of was a little bit more, like you said, Shara Bullet is fancy, is experimental, is technical. He's all those things. He's also very tough. But Barrialt to me showed a ton of heart. I felt like he got Shara Bullet in trouble very early. He was able to capitalize on it. I thought that he was going to win. I think it was like at the end of round two. I was like, I'm pretty sure Barrialt's about to pull this off. And I didn't really see that coming out of him, but dude, watch out for him because whoever has to fight him next, he's gonna be pissed off. And he looked great.
Yeah, he was insane to watch. And I'm glad I got to see it because that was one of those fights. Like, it might not be a Robbie Lawler versus Rory McDonald kind of fight, but it was every bit of what you can ask out of a 3-round fight.
Yeah, exactly. That was main event quality in 3 rounds, and that's the best you hope for. It doesn't matter if it's on the prelims, the early prelims, the main card. The fan truly just wants the best possible fight. And most of my fights on most of the cards that we watch is a prelim. I mean, it's been early prelims before. And so it's one of those things where I'm glad that they were on this card. I do wish that I would have been able to see a little bit more, though, for sure.
Yeah. If this was 2 more rounds, it could have been a completely different fight. Like, say this was a fight night main event where it would just be a 5-rounder. That would have been an amazing fight to watch.
Dude.
But man, I would have really liked to see 2 things specifically, one out of each. If Bullet can keep that pace that he had at the end of that fight in the 3rd round, and then also if Barrialt can keep composure and get back to what he was doing like the first round and a half of that fight, because he was absolutely sharp as can be.
He was locked in, man, because Shara was bleeding all over the place way before Barriall got damaged. Now, turned it on at the end, they looked pretty even by the end. They're both pretty beat up. But Barriall was putting it on him in rounds 1 and 2. So I liked it, man. It was good. I'm ready for more.
Yeah. And also, Bullet broke his nose big time. He had one of those folded.
Mm-hmm.
Now, his nose is not
Perfect.
but man, he had the flat fold going on.
That's horrific, man.
And to be marching forward while you're doing all that. Said Nurmagomedov versus Bryce Mitchell. This was one of the scarier fights for me personally because I do like Bryce Mitchell a lot. And anyone with the last name Nurmagomedov terrifies me. And going into this fight, I was thinking, man, Bryce is really sharp on the ground. If he can just keep him off and keep it standing is where I think it would end up being good for him. But man, he showed some ground skill that was next level of stopping, like when he got taken down, stopping the punishment from coming, and then getting back to his feet, or when he got on top, same thing, keeping control, keeping damage flowing. All the things he was able to stop from the bottom, he was doing on the top. It was a great fight from start to finish. It was back and forth, honestly, because, I mean, Nurmagomedov is one of them. He's one of the Nurmagomedovs, for sure. And it's just one of those fights that I was really nervous going into. I'm glad it went the way it did, but I'm glad that everyone looked good in the process also.
Yeah, Bryce said to the Dagestanis, send to 3 years Arkansas. Forget, dude. That's hilarious. Okay. Bryce Mitchell out of Searcy, Arkansas, which I've driven 13 hours to go play rugby at. Okay. There's nothing there, first off, except for Bryce Mitchell and a college. Okay. And he went out there and looked phenomenal in enemy territory. You know, if you want to consider going to the UAE versus fighting here in America being different, I felt like it was pretty different. Um, he looked good. He was in a good frame of mind. You know, he's had some hard losses in the past, and those can sometimes derail your career completely. And I'm glad to see that he's bounced back. I'm glad to see that he's still funny, even though he's, you know, very deep into his religious roots and everything. He's still extremely hilarious. And so I love that. Nurmagomedov looked great. He always does that. It was a great fight. It was pretty evenly matched. Bryce was just able to edge him out by just a little bit. I enjoyed it. Thank God for Bryce Mitchell, because if he wouldn't have got on the mic and yelled at Reebok for some camo shorts, we'd have all the same shorts. He's the first one that started it. Thank you, Bryce Mitchell.
Yes, thank you so much, because we wouldn't have Max, Dustin, all those, like my favorite of those two, obviously, but so many cool shorts. I think Bryce's shorts are cool.
Yeah.
I don't even know if they're like a specific brand of camo, you know?
Oh, it's like mossy oak board shorts, dude. I
Yeah.
mean, it's nice. It's high class is what I would consider. If you saw it in the Denny's, you would salute it. You know?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
But anyways, back to the
Yep.
tough guy stuff.
Yeah. But it was a great fight from top to bottom, start to finish, whatever you want to call it. I'm glad it went the way it did. It was a great showing by both dudes. They're both insanely good at grappling. They're both really good mixed martial artists. And I wouldn't, for either of these guys, I wouldn't say their stock went down at all.
I think so too.
All right. The big boys, dude. Martin Boudet versus Marcus Buchetta.
Yeah, so Marcus Buchecha Almeida is a multiple time jiu-jitsu world champion, tons of gold medals all over the place. Looked horrible against a video game player who lost a bunch of weight to get into the UFC, dude. Literally, Martin Boudet is a great example of, if you put your mind to it, you can beat a dang world champion, okay? Marcus Almeida, I was so excited. I've been waiting for him to get in the UFC, and he did what every single guy does their first time in the UFC from another organization. They just look a little flat. He came over from one. He'd been doing pretty good over there. I thought really this was about to be just like a springboard for him right past Boudet. And he said, "No way, Boudet."
Yeah.
But you know, it was a great fight. I did enjoy it, but I just was kind of disappointed. I was a little let down. But
I was really excited for this being so early on the card.
mhm.
We started watching way early because of this. And now it was also earlier in the day, but we actually watched all the fights, and it was really good from start to finish. I mean, like you said, the video game guy came out and beat the world champion, and I thought it was going to be one of those springboard fights, but man, it's kind of like Bullet. It's that same thing. I want to win more,
Mhm.
and you just couldn't hold up to it. And they were throwing, they were grappling. I mean, it was really good. It was fun to watch, because very rarely are bigger guys as active as they were during that fight. It was nonstop.
It's
There was,
extremely rare to see a heavyweight fight go 3 rounds and it went all three.
and they also didn't have the big long breaks where you see like, and I'm not trying to talk mess to anybody specifically, but like you'll see a heavyweight come up and they kind of both know, oh, we're taking a break right now. We're stumbling. All right, we're back in it. And there's like 15 seconds of getting back to your feet. Like there was like one of those moments through 3 rounds with people that big, like you said, does not happen. But it was really nice to watch.
Yeah, it was a good fight, man. I enjoyed it.
All right, UFC Fight Night at the Apex, Tyra versus Park. I know Park's got a lot of hype behind him. It's hopefully going to be an absolute banger of a fight because supposedly, from what I have learned, they're both extremely active fighters and they like to not only fight frequently, in their fights, they are the Max Holloway pace and they are absolutely dogs. So I'm definitely excited for the main event this weekend. I'm definitely going to be watching. But yeah.
Yeah, it should be good. They both have great records, and so I feel like maybe the UFC put this whole card together in hopes to kind of generate a little bit of interest for some of these up and coming people and some of the people that may not be directly from America or part of that, the American population that's tuning in to watch. So I think it's gonna be fun, man. I'm looking forward to getting to know a lot of these people. A lot of these guys, first time I've ever seen their names, so hopefully this weekend we're going to see a lot of people that will be future champions, but we'll see.
No, I do like watching fight nights like this for that specific reason. You find out, you see someone on a card that you might not have seen before, and then you see that dude later. Dustin Poirier, perfect example.
Elia Tuporia.
Yes, all these people. He went from sanitizer boy to featherweight, now lightweight champion of the world. Like spotting those guys early, it's such a good feeling, and you get to watch them through their whole career and you're not finding out about it from Anthony Smith, who mentioned some fight on the desk from forever ago, and you're like, oh my gosh, he fought that guy? That's crazy. And then you go through this rabbit hole online. Instead, you watch it and you watch their whole career unfold.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. It should be good, but I think that wraps us up for the UFC. So, other than the UFC that we have going on right now, we've got the PGF full season. Week one just completed. We're in week two now. Week two is should be live on YouTube. Just look up PGF World live on YouTube. One day a week every week. So going to be the first season. They've got the Alabama Twisters, which are in there. So that's the first state sponsored team. It's an actual franchise. It should be pretty interesting. They have the Tropic Thunders. They've got the Dolomer team, and they also have New Hope Kings, which New Hope Kings are backed by New Hope Regeneration, a really cool cutting edge medical company. It's pretty cool stuff. And so those are going to be the first teams competing in the full season laid out this way. So far, week one was really exciting. Jordan Worth was really cool. He had a bunch of interesting scrambles. There's a few guys. There's also a guy named Rafael Ferreira. He phenomenal young kid. Kind of seems like one of those kids. He's probably like very much into the art, if that makes sense. And super quick, landed in a really weird heel hook position, ended up basically trapping another guy's leg while he was in heel hook position to get a heel hook on the other guy. They're looking good, man. Overall, there's a lot of guys like Michael John looked really great. And I'm looking forward to see what's happening in week two. I haven't watched yet, so I'm looking forward to tuning in. But overall, man, great place to get some jiu-jitsu information, jiu-jitsu knowledge, great production, really cool guys working on it. And I'm just looking forward to seeing more from them.
100%. And obviously, Matt, our buddy's in there. I don't know what he's doing exactly this season in terms of coaching and all that.
He's a franchise owner. So
Oh,
he's part of the Alabama Twisters. He's part owner of the Alabama Twisters.
okay. Well, I love to see anything he's involved in always. Always. Got a lot of love for him for sure. But
Yep. Hopefully we'll be able to talk to him sometime soon. That'd be good.
yes, and if you haven't already, check out PGF World live on YouTube, free, absolutely free content. They're putting it out there for you, so definitely check it out.
Yep.
All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow on whatever platform you're on. We appreciate you guys, and we will see y'all in the next one.
Thanks, y'all. All right, buddy. I love you.
I love you too.